Hello, boys and girls. My name is Aquilla Robinson, and I work for the University of Michigan as a healthcare worker, also known as Michigan Medicine. I attended Perry Elementary School when I was a little girl. It actually went up to the 6th grade when I went to Perry School, and I graduated from Perry School going into junior high. So a lot of things have changed since then, but that was my story. Today we're going to read a story called Thank You, Amu. Amu means queen in the Igbo language. Igbo language comes from Nigeria, and Nigeria is a country in Africa. We're going to get started with the story, Thank You, Amu. Do I turn it towards me first? Thank you, Amu. On the corner of First Street and Long Street, on the very top floor, Amu was cooking a thick red stew in a big fat pot for a nice evening meal. She seasoned it and stirred it and took a small taste. What a delicious stew, Amu said. Tonight's dinner will surely be the best I've ever had. With that, Amu put down her spoon and went to read a book before supper, just like I'm reading to you. As the thick red stew simmered on the stove, its scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until, knock, 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 someone was at the door. When Amu opened it, she saw, who do you think she saw? Who was at her door? Think they smelled that good food? A little boy. Little boy, Amu exclaimed, what brings you to my home? I was playing with my race car down the hall when I smelled the most delicious smell, the little boy replied. What is it? Thick red stew. Stew, he sighed. That sure sounds yummy. You see his little red car he was playing with? You can see the scent from the stew just wafting out the window and down the hall. Amu thought for a moment. She was saving her stew for dinner, but she had made quite a bit. It would not hurt to share. Would you like some? The little boy nodded. And so Amu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. Thank you, Amu, the little boy said, and went on his way. See, he got his nice bowl full of stew, and she's getting it out the big pot. With that, Amu closed the door and went back to her book. As she read, her thick red stew's scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block, until, knock, knock, someone was at the door again. When Amu opened the door, this time she saw, who do you think she saw? Who's on the street? A police officer. You think she's in trouble? No. Miss Police Officer, Amu exclaimed, what brings you to my home? I was on duty down the street when I smelled the most delicious smell. Miss Police Officer replied, what is it? Thick red stew. Stew, she said, and her mouth watered. That sounds mighty tasty. Amu thought for a moment. There was still enough stew to share. Would you like some? The police officer nodded. Once again, Amu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. Thank you, Amu, the officer said, and went on her way. That's so nice of Amu, sharing like that. Her meal. That's her meal she's sharing with everybody. So nice. Oh, my book is falling apart. And for the second time, Amu closed the door and went back to her book. Sure enough, as she read her thick red stew's scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until, knock, knock, knock. Again, someone was at Amu's door. This time, when she opened it, she saw, what did she see? Let's find out. A hot dog vendor. A hot dog vendor is somebody who sells hot dogs. Mr. Hot Dog Vendor, Amu explained, what brings you to my home? I was selling my hot dogs down the block when I smelled the most delicious smell, Mr. Hot Dog Vendor replied. What is it? Thick red stew. Ooh, stew. The vendor licked his lips. That sounds quite delectable. Yeah, he looked like he could eat a lot of stew. So Amu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. Thank you, Amu, the hot dog vendor said, and went on his way. She's so generous, just feeding the whole neighborhood. Throughout the day, people from all across the neighborhood knocked on Amu's door. She fed a shop owner. See if you can spot him on this picture. She fed a shop owner, a cab driver, a doctor, an actor, a lawyer, a dancer, a baker, an artist, a singer, an athlete, a bus driver, a construction worker, and even the mayor stopped by. She fed the whole city. Wow, that was a big pot. And each time they knocked, Amu shared. Every time somebody knocked, she shared what was in her pot. Soon, the sky darkened, the streetlights brightened, and it was finally time for dinner. Finally, she get to eat. But when Amu opened her big fat pot of thick red stew for her nice evening meal, it was empty. Nothing in her pot. No red stew. Amu sniffled. There goes the best dinner I ever had. Sorry and blue, she sat at the table with her empty pot until, knock, 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 knock. What could that be? Amu wondered. When she opened her door, she saw, what do you think she saw? Who was there? You guys have any idea? The little boy, the police officer, the hot dog vendor, the shop owner, the cab driver, the doctor, the actor, the lawyer, the dancer, the baker. Why, everyone she fed today was at her door. I'm sorry, everyone, Amu said. My thick red stew is all gone. I have nothing left to share. The little boy tugged at Amu's sleeve. Don't worry, Amu. We are not here to ask. We are here to give. They want to return all the love she gave them. The police officer carried in a fresh salad. The mayor entered with a roast chicken. The baker brought a collection of sweet goodies. Even the little boy presented Amu with something special in a shiny red envelope. Everyone who had knocked on Amu's door that day squeezed inside her tiny apartment, and together they ate, danced, and celebrated. While Amu's big fat pot of thick red stew was empty, her heart was full of happiness and love. Aw, they all came back. They all came back and brought food to share because she was so generous with her food. That dinner was the best she had ever had. Thank you, Amu. The end. Wasn't that nice? It just goes to show when you do something kind from your heart, it is returned to you. You don't know how it's going to come back, but it is going to return to you in some form or some fashion. So be kind. Always be kind and be willing to share. That's our story for tonight, boys and girls. Have a good night. Bye.